This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay. Well, I think we will start with what we have. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. This is the Easthampton Community Garden. This is a public committee and a public meeting. And for that reason, you may have noticed the thing that the little notice that this is being recorded, which is actually a very good thing because someone had asked before when they weren't certain they could come about whether they could always watch a recording. And the answer is you can. And it's on the city website. And when you get the minutes that I've sent out, there's a link to the site that has the recording. So you should know that you'll always be able to watch a recording. So before we kind of start by going around so everyone gets to see each other, this is the one time historically in our season that we all are together. This used to be more of an in-person kickoff thing on site, where everyone's kind of like at their plot and doing stuff. But in the world of COVID and the fact that we've kind of, like everyone else, kind of morphed into a virtual existence, we're going to do it tonight so that hopefully we'll be able to get down and by the end of the month, kind of like be fully operational, which is definitely our goal. So I am serving in the capacity of, well, we don't have formal capacities, but to the extent that we would as a public committee, I would be the clerk/secretary. The only other kind of position that is typical of a public committee is the treasurer. Later tonight, we'll be filling that because the person who served in that capacity last year is not participating in the garden this year. So we will need to select that. Everything else after that kind of flows in a committee form, right? So there are people who are designated to do certain tasks, and we'll go over that tonight as well. So that is the general business. And of course, to answer any and all questions that people have before we're really on site. So I'm just going to go down the list that I have and just call names out so that folks can say hello. I'll start with David Carroll.
Hey, folks.
That'd be you. So, David, it looks like you're fully mobile there.
Well, the timing of this was, I wouldn't have gotten out of the house to a bluegrass jam if I left after the meeting. Whereas if I'm parked out front, as soon as the meeting's over, I walk in and pick, so.
You're good. Okay, just dodging. You're mobile in every respect. David, if you can inform folks what plot you have.
I am A11.
What plot are we at?
Not quite all the way far back left, but second to far back left.
Yes. So David's A11, and for those who are recalling site, row A is the one that's closest to the road. And the numbers run from the tool shed out. So David's at the kind of toward the rear.
Yep, there's
not
one
exactly
more
there,
past me.
but toward. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn to the folks who are participating by phone. The number that ends in 0964.
Yeah, hi, it's Christine and Liam. And I don't remember what our plot numbers are. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's another reason we have this meeting, so you know what plot you have. And I could, well, I'm not gonna.
Don't worry about it. And my son Colin is working, and he has a plot too. We're all together, and Susan's traveling, so Liam and I are representing.
Okay.
A5 and B5 probably. I don't know.
Maybe A5 and B5. We're not going to take up meeting time. We're just saying hi.
Hello. Okay. Well, I believe you're C4. If you're Christine Kravitz.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the one below is Liam, and then towards the back is Colin and Susan.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, Ted Stock. Ted.
Hello, everybody. B8.
You remembered.
Yeah, I guess we're supposed to.
And that's actually a photo of Ted's plot behind him. You can see how beautiful it is. Huh? And how you got it looking like that in April is anyone's guess.
It's amazing.
It must be magical.
But I'll need a lot of help this year.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Aya and Amy.
Hello. I'm Aya, and this is Amy. Hi. We're siblings, and we have the plots 8.
Oops.
A9, I think.
Yeah.
I think I'm frozen.
A8 and 9, I think.
Yes. A8 and A9. Here's a little pop quiz we give everyone. A8, A9. Okay. This list keeps on switching. Bruce Harrison.
Yay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Kathy Harrison.
And Kathy, yeah.
Welcome. You guys are new. Do you remember your plot?
D4, I think.
Right. I know you're in D.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, as we go along, one of the things we'll need to know is whether you need a key. I know you guys have them. Is there anyone who's actually who I already called on who is in need of a key to the shed? I'm keeping track of that tonight.
Okay.
Just note it when you called. Margie Phillips.
Hello.
We must have been right.
Probably all seen my name. I am in D5. And I think what I'll do when I send out the notes, I'll try to send out a map with everybody's name and plot number.
That'd be great. Thank you, Margie. Okay. Caitlin Bunning.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. This is my wife, Laura. She and I are doing it together. And I think our plot is C9. I think.
That's correct.
Okay, because Frank, you're C8.
Yeah, I almost gave mine away last year somehow.
Yeah. Awesome.
I still can't figure that out. Nor do I want to.
That's okay. That was last year. This is this year, Frank. Whole new year. Well, welcome, guys. And I know you guys are key. You're all set, right? Okay. Speaking of Caitlin's, we'll go to the next Caitlin. Caitlin Carmody. Or Carmody.
Carmody, you got it.
I had it the first time. Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm new. It's nice to see you all. I'm in B7. I don't have any sense of what that means, but that's what I've been assigned.
As of today, yes, you are. Caitlin, should I note that you might want a shed key or not?
Yes, thanks.
Okie dokie. Eric Zilcha.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eric. I'm in D6.
Thank you, Eric. Frank Johnson.
Hello, folks. I'm Frank Johnson, and I am in C8. I think I'm the last holdout from the originals.
Well, I was about to say, Frank, that we'll get to the job stuff later, but you ought to be recognized as senior member by just duration, not by any other means.
By attrition.
Don't get too sensitive about that. Yes, but folks should know this is the person in case any question about past history, present operations. Frank is there and often on site. Thank goodness. Jake Lordra, welcome, because you weren't certain you were coming, Jacob. Where are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm Jacob. I'm new to Easthampton. I've been here 6 months, so I'm excited to be here for my first full season. I have a key, so I'm all set there, and I believe I'm a B plot, but I'm not sure of the exact number.
Oh.
Say B6?
No, you're, I think it's what I'm looking at. I think you're C7, because you're right. I think you're next to me, Jacob.
Awesome.
That's what we got you for.
I know the plot and where it's located, but now I know the number, so that's great. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Janet Gula.
Hi there, I'm in B10 and I do have a key.
Okay, great. Jenna, were you ultimately able to open the attachments?
Was I?
No, did you have problems?
I did not.
You did? Okay, sorry. Someone did. I thought it was you. That's good. Maui.
Hey y'all, I'm Maui. I'm in B9 again. Yeah.
Sorry for the mispronunciation.
That's okay.
I won't even try. Why don't you? I won't do the last name. You can do that one.
Sure. And I have a key, so I'm good.
Yes, I remember that.
B9. Did you say B or D, Maui?
B.
Yeah, B9. Right. I have a map in front of me, so.
Thanks.
Okay, Olivia Burke.
Hi, everybody. I'm Olivia, new to the garden this year. Super nice to meet you all. I am in D2.
After much deliberation, welcome to.
After much deliberation, I met her last weekend and she is lovely and I think we're really going to hit it off.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Olivia, which plot was that?
D2.
D2.
B as in dog.
Okay.
D as in dog.
Oh, D. Okay.
D. Yeah.
D.
Maybe. Phil Asimovich.
Hi, everybody. I'm Phil. Nice to meet you all. This is my first year at the garden, and I am in D12, the far corner where all the water goes.
Where all the water, and he took the. Phil is going to be doing rice this year, so
that's right.
You got the right plot. All those rice lovers. We can do the Sarahs. Sarah King.
Hello. I have been to many of these meetings and I still don't know my plot number. It's next to Christine's and it's C, I think.
You're C3.
That's right, Frank, C3. And so I'm excited for it was a D2. The plot's next to me. It's a new person every year. So I'm excited to meet you, Olivia.
Yeah, Sarah's another, well, we used to in the gym, we call them gym rats, but she's a gardener rat, you know, she's there. All right, oh yes, Sarah Greenleaf.
Hi there, I'm Sarah Greenleaf, and this is my mom.
Susan, hello.
Hi, Susan. Hi, Sarah.
And I've also been here for a few years, but I also don't know my plot number. Right next to the upper compost heap.
Let's put it this way, there's lots of thistles in the plot that we
have. Yeah, I'll talk about that later.
Whoa.
D1.
D1, thank you.
Oh, okay. Yes, C1. Sorry. Okay, Shireen Smith.
Hi everyone, I'm Shireen. I'm also new to the garden this year, and I'm trying to guess based on hearing everyone's plots. I think I'm D10.
D7.
Close. D7. I'm with the raised beds.
We're getting close to the process of elimination. You can almost figure out where you are once you know where everyone else is. Is there anyone who I missed? I think that's everyone. Well, anyhow, welcome. I am now going to, we have what's called a standing agenda. And I'm about to share my screen so you can see that. Can people see it?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me screen it down a little bit. So this is the first page of it. This notice is posted by the city. So if you ever go on the city website, it'll have the link, as you can see, to our meeting, the Zoom meeting link. And then the second page has what I call our standing agenda, meaning that even though what we discuss may vary and will vary from time to time, the order and the title of what we're talking about remains the same. And like every public meeting in Easthampton, it starts with a call to order. What does that mean? That's actually if there was anyone else as a member of the public who is attending and has something to convey to the garden committee, this is their opportunity to do so. So this is limited only to the those folks. So we call the meeting to order at 7:07 with 19 people, 19 plots represented. And then the public comment for those folks who are not plot members, and I think everyone here is. Is there anyone here who is not a member of the community farm or a holder of a plot? Okay, forever hold your peace. We have moved past that. We now move to the minutes. And both the agenda and the minutes are always attached to the Gmails that you get of the meeting notice. So hopefully there are various times that you can access those. So I'm about to post them. These are the minutes from our last meeting. We normally have our first meeting rather in March, which we did last month in preparation for tonight's meeting. As I mentioned, these minutes are attached and posted, and also you'll see at the very top here, link to meeting recording. That's the link so that you can always catch the recording of our meeting. So that link will always change. So again, if you weren't able to attend and you want to watch the recording of the last meeting, you can go to the minutes and click on that link, and that will bring you to the recording. Before we go any further, we've been joined by our 20th member. That's great. Karen Smolsky. Karen, we had introduced ourselves and want to give you the opportunity to say hello and to tell folks what plot you were in. You there yet, Karen? Well, all right. Let's proceed then. The minutes need to be approved. Hopefully people have had a chance to review them. However, only those folks who were actually present at our last meeting, Eric, Margie, Maui, Mark, who's not here, not here, Karen, who is here, myself. Is there a motion to approve made by one of those folks?
Sure. Motion
Margie?
to,
Margie's moved. Is it seconded by anyone who was present?
Seconded.
Okay, Eric, second. Okay. Need for any amendments or changes? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Anyone in opposition, say no. The minutes are adopted unanimously. Okay, so the next thing we normally do is go from the minutes to the treasurer's report. We do not have a treasurer's report to review tonight, in large part because we don't have a treasurer to report tonight. However, that said, as I mentioned, and we can do it now if we want to, really there are, as I say, two functional executive, we'll call them officers, one being the clerk secretary. This is my third season serving in that capacity, and I'm looking to retire. I'm retiring from everything else. I'm going to want to retire from this. So I mentioned that at the very outset of our year this year because what might make sense is for the person who might be interested in taking that over, I can work together with that person so that next year at this time, they'll be able to kind of like walk right through it. So I know for a lot of new folks who are wondering, well, what does it mean to be the in this position? It's just we're required, again, because we're a public committee, to do the simple things, notify the public of our meetings, which we do again through the city. They'll post it for us, but we have to give them the meeting date and time in advance and the place. We always meet the first Thursday of every month at 7 o'clock. So you can put those right in your calendar right now. It'll always be the same. Right now, the city is moving back to in-person. So it isn't clear about whether or not that's in place for next time. That said, I think that we can convey to the city what would be what our committee would view in terms of preferences for meeting in person versus meeting online. I think we can convey that a sense of the body. The meeting rooms are basically in the basement of City Hall. And if anyone's been there, well, certainly Sarah, you know, you're familiar with the hearing rooms down there. So, but in any event, yeah, you know, it accommodates, you know, 6 to 8 people, something like that. Or alternatively, we can inform the city that we still prefer online and see what they say about that. So we make sure that folks know about the meeting. We also have a Facebook page, and we'll get to how that's run. So we post it there. Minutes have to be taken. So we do kind of brief minutes because now that we have the ability, because when we do, you know, of having recorded meetings, we can, oh, looks like Karen's trying to come back in here. We can direct people to the meeting recording to augment the minutes. And I think the other thing that the position requires is to be able to coordinate with the city. Typically the city clerk's office is the office that I coordinate with, for instance, and, you know, picking up, you know, mail or, you know, applications, etc. So the pay is quite modest, like none. The benefits are even more modest. And so I'm hoping that rather than, we won't waste much more time. However, I will say that we need to generate some names so that I can have discussions with people so that we can get this clarified before we move forward by the end of the month. unless is there anyone who, for what they know at this point in time, would be interested in working with me this year with the idea of being able to succeed? The floor is open. Karen, are you there yet? I've entered Karen now 4 times into this meeting, so I don't know. Well, the only thing we can move on. The only thing I will say is that due notice has been given, and this time next year will not be me conducting this meeting. So we will figure things out at that point in time. The other thing I can say about the okay, so that's that. Now, in terms of the treasurer, it's always a good idea to have an individual who's designated to that. Again, it's because it's a city committee. We have a city account, and again, we work with the city clerk's office and just making sure that purchase orders are signed and that we have sufficient monies. Most of our money is collected at the very outset of each year. Everyone paid a fee to enter. And really by dint of that fee, we pretty much handle the kinds of things that come up in terms of expenses. We're fortunate that the land is given to us, the water is given to us, tools are there, although sometimes they have to be replaced, and hoses, etc. So there is some equipment, but we normally don't have to go out and fundraise or anything like that. We're in pretty good shape. So we do need to have someone designated as a treasurer. And again, I would open the floor to anyone who's interested in helping out with that. And again, they would be working with me, with the clerk secretary in that regard too.
I'll do it, Steve.
Okay. Ted Stock, numeral B8. Thank you, Ted. Is there anyone else? What's that, Margie?
I said thank you.
Oh, you said thank you. Yeah. Big thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else interested? If not, then I'll declare nominations closed. And I would ask also for a motion to nominate / approve Ted Stock, who is volunteered to serve in that position. Margie, is that what you wanted to do when you said thank you? Okay, Margie has moved Ted. Anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
Frank seconded. Okay. All in favor of Ted serving as our treasurer, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. Hearing and seeing no opposition. Ted, you are elected by acclamation, which is even better than unanimous. And the other thing I'm going to mention to you, you'll see right here, this Google, we have a Google account, and this links to the spreadsheets that basically the treasurer works with. So it's easily accessed, and folks, if they had any question, can go again, because this is in the minutes each and every time. So if you just wanted to see, what's happening with our accounts, all you have to do is click in. So, and it makes it also easy for Ted or the treasurer to maintain them. So we don't. What we will be doing once we become fully operational is that you will see that we have approved providers that we can put monies in their accounts, so that when we need to go to them, instead of having to lay out cash on that, we can put it on the city account. And there are just a few of them, and we put money in the account for that. It just makes it easier sometimes. But again, they have to go through a process of being an approved recipient of city monies. Okay, everything else that we do is really now done by committee. And you'll see that below the treasurer's report is the operations report. Frank, being the senior member that he is, with all his experience, has historically served in that capacity. Plus that, and he loves to mow and he loves tackling thistle. All these good qualifications. But Frank, I'm going to turn it to you just to say something. What we have to decide tonight, I think, are twofold. One, kind of when we would want to plan to open. And one of the things we do when we open is that, and I've mentioned it to folks before, we normally get an order of some really good compost that people can spread. The person who does the ordering, Mark, is not, can't attend tonight. Unfortunately, he's got a conflict, but Mark Leonis, but he has gotten us information from a potential vendor. And I'm going to take an opportunity just to relay what the information that he found. If you bear with me for a second. So he has contacted a vendor that we have used in the past and have found acceptable. They're Four Seasons. I believe they're out of North Hadley or something, somewhere around that. He's checked with them about their ability to do a delivery. They are able to do a delivery of 10 cubic yards. And one of the dates, in fact, that they can do this delivery is Saturday, April 30th in the morning, which is a good date because for those folks who really want to get things kicking in their plot. We do have a price on this. The price for those 10 cubic yards is $480. So the way we've done it in the past, because they want payment on delivery that day when they deliver the compost, is that Mark will write a check, so and that people who want to participate in the compost can then pay their share. So then the question is, well, what would be a share here? And Frank, I might turn to you on this because typically I think that we've done shares of either like a quarter of a yard or a half a yard. If everyone got a quarter of a yard, we'd be able to accommodate 40 plots, which is actually about what we have fully operational. If we went to like a half, that would be obviously in half, 20. Frank, do you want to speak to what you think most people have historically used and wanted?
Yeah, I would. A quarter is not a lot if you don't need. I'm just trying to think in terms of buckets because it's like 35 to 40 buckets per yard. So a quarter yard, you're looking at what, 7 buckets, something like that, 7 5-gallon buckets. So, I usually go with a half yard. It'll just depend really on how much interest we have. I would say too, there are some plots that just over the years the soil has settled, and I just add every year. It's a good idea, but I would say a quarter. You could top dress your rows probably if you got a quarter. And I don't know if we'll do a second order or not. Excuse me. But we'll see. We'll have to see what the interest is first with the first load.
Yeah. Okay. So basically a quarter will give you a top, about how deep would you say, Frank, if one was just, plopping it on top?
If you spread it on your whole plot, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. It might be a quarter inch or something.
Oh, quarter.
It's not going to be a lot. Yeah, no. It's not.
Yeah.
Because the plots are 20 by 20, so yeah, it wouldn't cover that much. That's why really, I mean, if you pull up rows, you're really not going to need it in between your rows. So you would just mainly concentrate it on your rows.
All right. Does anyone have any questions about this? So by the way, so the cost translates basically to $12 per quarter yard, $24, double that per half yard. And you would have to be present. You have to get, it's better to be present that day so that Mark has the money. We're not kind of going to lay it out for folks. So I guess the first question is the 30th a good date for folks?
What time? Is there a time for that?
Well, it's going to be the morning. We will get, last time, I mean, normally they will deliver somewhere between 9 and 10.
Yeah, they showed up.
We asked them to be first on the list, but you don't know till that day. So we asked for that.
And this is something I think once we fine tune all this, we can send an email out just to once we know everything for certain.
Yeah, right. But we do need, Mark's going to follow up with them tomorrow. So we do need to get a sense about whether we're going to go forward on the 10-yard delivery. So I think we do, well, we can follow up. We do need folks to basically indicate what they can do. One way of doing this is if people want to put into the chat or follow up with Frank. Everyone's got everyone's email, I believe, or Margie. Everyone's got Margie's email.
Well, I was going to say what we've done before is I send an email out directly after this meeting. I can put all the details in there, and whoever is interested can email me as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And then should I send the information to Mark? Or to
yes, right, yeah, because Mark's hoping to be able to kind of confirm everything tomorrow with them.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah, well, because we're getting a delivery on a weekend, which is really a very, it's a challenging time to get a weekend delivery from these folks because everyone wants that. So we really need to get in line. Does anyone have any questions about what we're talking about and what we're asking, particularly the new folks?
I was just going to say, I think maybe making it like a firm deadline that you have to email tonight. I feel like there's always like confusion about getting it paid for and who gets to use it. And I think just like setting firmer deadlines, like email Margie tonight and then get the money to either the city or show up that day.
Yeah, okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, Sarah, just to make it clear to folks, we do not do this one through the city because that would require a willingness of the vendor to be billed and to go through all this. So they just want to be paid that day. So the city can't pay in advance. So those people who want, like if you want a half or a quarter, what we're saying is that you've got to have that equivalent, the $24 if it's a half, whatever, to Mark either the morning of or beforehand, okay? Otherwise, you can't get your share. So I agree with you. We're trying to make this very clear and with very strict deadlines. So we need to know, in order to be able to go ahead on this order, we need to hear from folks. Again, to Margie. Margie's going to get this out.
Wait.
Yes.
Wait a second. There is no way I can be on my computer all night and then tomorrow I'm very busy. So I didn't realize that we had to know this by tomorrow. So I'm going to take a step back because if people are going to be sending emails to me all night and then I have to send it to Mark, I'm going to suggest that we email Mark directly And then he can look at his computer in the morning if he's going to be dealing with this in the morning anyway.
Margie,
I'm not available.
Can we make a Google spreadsheet and just have people access and update the Google spreadsheet with their want? Because that way there's not a million emails coming through, and Mark can just reference it.
Can you do that, Eric?
Yep, I'll do it right now.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you very much. I panicked for a minute.
I would recommend getting some compost.
Yeah.
And a suggestion, the way I do it with compost, I don't spread it on the whole garden or the whole bed. I put a little bit under the plant or the row that I'm planting and mix it in with the topsoil. And it works fine. That way you don't feed the weeds either.
Yeah, $14 for a quarter yard, that's not bad. I mean, you go out and start buying bags of dirt, you're going to spend more than that.
Question, Eric. How can people access the spreadsheet? Because I don't think our new gardeners have the or have access to the Google Docs.
I should be able to make it accessible to the public as long as we don't mind information being shared. We won't do it by name. We'll do it by plot number. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's wise.
Okay.
I mean, basically, we're just trying to figure out so that we can confirm whether we have enough people, to cover the 10 yards. That's basically it. So what you need to be able to say is whether you're in, and if you're in, whether you're at a quarter or whether you're at a half.
And will the spreadsheet come to us through an email, or do we have to access it?
Oh, Eric, what I can do is you create it, and I can get another thing, communication out tonight with that as an attachment, right?
Perfect.
I hope.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to send it out as a link even before the meeting's over.
Yeah.
And then how do people get it back? How do we send it back to Mark?
It just uploads automatically.
Oh, okay.
It'll be shared for everybody, so Mark will be able to go to it and see it.
Oh,
it'll be alive.
If we want compost, but we're not able to be there on the 30th, is there a solution? I mean, I'd be happy to pay ahead of time, but I'm out of town that weekend.
Yeah, no, that's why, Phil, to that point, that's why we're kind of doing this and saying this tonight so that you can direct the payment, in this case, to Mark, because you're going to make it out to him because he's going to be writing a check to cover. So we can get that, we should get the address out.
Great,
yeah,
thanks.
No problem. Not a big deal. Okay, Frank, I'm checking it. Karen, did you ever get in? Apparently not. Frank, in terms of operations, do you want to kind of run down a little bit about what we typically do during a typical garden year and the folks that are needed to take on certain tasks?
Sure. The kind of what I do is first of all, I'm the weed inspector too. So one thing that you want to remember is that, and I assume we'll probably do our opening day on the 30th. We might as well, since we're having the compost delivered then. We can talk about that. But you want to, typically your plot needs to be cultivated in some form by Memorial Day weekend in May. And then I would go around just to make sure that it's all, that people are actually working on the plots. There will be mowing. There's also, there's a lot of volunteer work, and you're required to do some volunteer work towards the garden. That's part of having a plot. And there's a mow crew. There's a crew that takes care of the donation plot. There's another crew that takes care of the aisles. I'm probably going to forget some stuff too.
Tool shed.
The tool shed and the flower beds up top. And that's probably something we'll need to talk about in a future meeting. I think we're going to need to replace some of the boards up there too. Things are starting to rot. And
picnic bench.
The what?
The picnic bench.
Oh yeah, the picnic too. Yeah.
You know what we should do this year too is clean out in back of the shed.
Yeah, we'll also have, there's work days that we do as well. Like there'll be a second Monday or two. We pick a day, whichever, during the week. And it's usually in the evening where we'll have some little project maybe that needs to get done. But yeah, we need to clean out from behind the shed too, for sure. But I went up there today and we have, in the last 2 years, we have been introduced to the horrors and terrors of Canada thistle. Why it's called Canada thistle, I don't know, but it is. And there's some funny videos out there on it. Margie, I didn't really talk to you about this, but I've found a couple of videos. I think what we'll do is try and post something for everybody, but you need to know what this stuff looks like and you need to eliminate it immediately because it is incredibly invasive. We already started on D1, which is a completely infested plot. C1, which was mentioned earlier, that's Sarah's. I was up there today. It doesn't look that bad. And I've learned a little bit more about this stuff as well. D2 is totally infested, and it's gonna be kind of a community project. And the reason it needs to be, and we'll organize something to get this stuff out, and it's gonna be living with us now. One plant can spread its roots like 20 feet underground. This stuff is crazy invasive. We're not quite sure where it came from, but I'm going to blame it on the goldfinches. And once you know how to recognize it, if you just keep pulling it up, eventually it will die off because obviously it needs the green to feed the roots. But it's something that I will probably have to go around and do a thistle inspection like every 2 weeks until we get this thing under some kind of control. It's only down in that corner right now, but there's it'll show up in places in plots because the birds will be pooping seeds. And the main thing is we want to keep it from going to seed. I'm going to try and throw together a whole thing, just an educational sheet on it. And we'll have pictures posted on the shed, but we'll email you pictures of how to identify it. The earlier you get it, the better, because I've never seen anything quite like it. It's unbelievably invasive. And one of the only ways to really get rid of it is with glyphosate, with Roundup, which we really do not want to use because the glyphosate persists for a long time. So yeah, that's enough of that. The mowing, I always take the mower up. I'll take a mower and the trimmer up to get service before the season starts. I keep wanting to make a video. Maybe I'll do it this year on how to use the mower, but we'll certainly I'll show how to use that on the opening day in April. And that's usually, or April 30th. That's really when we need to do it, if not sooner. We'll be putting out hoses. The tool shed looks pretty good actually, but there'll be a number of things that we'll be doing that day just to kind of get everything ready in the garden. And we'll need to talk to the city about turning the water back on and all that kind of thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else right now since we're early on. But I've kind of exhausted my list. Stephen, can you think of anything, or Marge or Eric?
how many people usually do you need on a mowing crew? Is it a thing where it's as many as possible? Or?
We usually try to have 8. And some seasons we've had that many. Sometimes it's been less. You know, during the pandemic, it was less.
Yeah.
But you know, the mower looks intimidating, but you can read a book and mow with this thing. It powers itself pretty much. It's a walk behind, but it's got a wide base on it as well. But if I mow, sometimes I can do the whole thing in one shot. But if you can't mow the whole thing, you know, you mow as much as you can and just let everybody know that you couldn't get it all done. It's a good bit to mow. But yeah, we usually look for 8 there. I think to maintain the aisles, it's 4. And on the garden application, it had those jobs and the number of spaces available for them. And that's another thing. If we had somebody who could actually, you know, volunteer to have the kind of set up a spreadsheet for work details, that would be awesome. And we can keep reminding people if they would like to do something like that, because that's a nice thing to have. Then everybody knows when they're going to do things. They'll say when they're going to do things, because people are in and out of town for the summer. I mean, I'm going to go on, I'm going to try and get out of town. And so if you're on one of these work details, then you can have somebody else cover for you. And I would also suggest that, you know, talk to your neighbors, and especially if they've gardened here before. You know, I've been here from the very beginning, and I still see new bugs and new weeds that I've never seen before. But I know a lot of the history of the place. I know where the wet spots are and the dry spots. So if I'm up there, and I'm up there a lot, if you want to come chat me up anytime, that's fine. But if you it's good to get to know your neighbors, because if you're going to be out of town, you know, they might be able to water for you or something like that.
Frank, when you said to get an Excel sheet, did you mean to have people sign up for, I know like a few years ago, there was like an Excel sheet where you signed up for which week in the growing season you'd mow? Yeah,
that I wasn't in charge of, so I don't know. Marge, do you know if that sheet's still around?
No, I don't remember it, but I remember there was a woman who organized all this. I think it was 2 seasons ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Tara who had a plot next to me, or next to my wife. Yeah, wasn't in charge of that, so I can't really speak to that.
I haven't seen that on the drive. I will have another look. But,
okay.
I haven't.
Well, I'm happy to make an Excel sheet that organizes some of the jobs, or people can post on there when they're going away and need someone to water or whatever. I can do that.
But as far as the operations, that's all I can think of right now. I will tell you that up along the road, like right at where the road comes down, there's a little berm that comes down. Right at the bottom of that berm and on up it, there is poison ivy mixed in there. So if you're allergic to it, you might not want to cut through there from the road. And it will, I'm not allergic to it, so I don't mind mowing up there. I really try to keep that area as low as I can anyway. And we did have a leak for a couple of years from the pump house, but the city fixed that last year. It did us a solid.
I would like to mention one thing, just to mention it, and we'll get more into detail when it's in season, but there's another very noxious weed called ragweed. And if anyone is allergic to it, you know how troublesome that can be. So it usually doesn't start growing until the weather's pretty warm. And it's much easier to pull out when it's really small. And maybe not this time, but as we get closer to the season, I will also send out pictures of the ragweed, and I guess we'll post it again on the shed, pictures of thistle and ragweed. So if you know about ragweed, keep an eye out.
We have a mountain of wood chips as well. We have a couple of tree services that will just give it to us for free. So feel free to use that in your plots and put it in the aisles or whatever. I will make a suggestion. If you're going to use it, put down either newspaper or cardboard under it. It will suppress the weeds a lot longer because the weeds will push up through it. We have some steroidal weeds. That's all I'll say. And just a little advice: if you're gonna dig up your plot, you try not to go too deep, because there are seeds that have been sitting under there for 40 years and they're just waiting for some kind person like you to dig them up from the depths and expose them to all the elements they need. So I just word of advice: the shallower you dig, the better.
Oh, Frank, thank you. And yes, and thank you, Sarah, for helping to get that piece organized. And one of the things that you mentioned, Sarah, that is also kind of, we're going to be getting to in just a minute, is just that communication between gardeners, like for watering purposes or for other purposes, maybe harvesting. So having something in place that's easily and readily available is great. So thank you for offering to do that. And thank you, Frank, for the operations. Mark Leonis has joined us. Mark, your timing is great. We've introduced ourselves around, so if you want to say hello and then tell folks what plot you were in, and we're going to be getting to your report very shortly.
Mark Leonis, and I've been a community gardener for a few years now, and I'm plot, I think it's C5. I think that's the number. I keep what is out of my mind. Margie will correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, you're right. C5.
Right next door to me.
Right next door to Margie and not far from Frank. And yeah, wonderful community that we have, and so glad that we have it. Kind of saved our bacon, I think, during the beginning of the pandemic, and now we're back and doing even more. So, right. Anything else you want me to say, Stephen, at this time?
No, but also thanks to you. We talked a little bit about the compost ordering.
Yep.
And so what we're doing, Eric is going to be generating a sheet that people can sign on to, so that we'll be able very shortly be able to confirm, about the 10 yards.
How much
historically,
they want.
I'm certain, of course, that we will go there, but this way people have a chance to figure out how much they want and commit to that. And the pricing, of course, is terrifically good. As Frank mentioned, for that money, you couldn't get like a bag of regular dirt. Never mind this really good compost. So,
Right.
and we did settle on the morning of the 30th.
Okay, that's great. I'll call them and place the order.
Yeah, well, we're just going to make sure that we have enough of the tent so that people are going to respond. We'll know this very shortly, maybe by hopefully the end of this evening or tomorrow. So we'll check on that, Mark. But I think it looks very good. And thank you for making those arrangements and for fronting the monies, etc. So before we get to your report, though, we go from operations to outreach. And we have two outreaches, both internal outreach amongst and between us, and external outreach to the general public. Margie, you've been handling the internal outreach, like, for instance, confirming plots and all that kind of good stuff.
Yep. This is the busy season. But before we go there, excuse me, Mark, I just want to make sure that this is okay with you, because we said that if people can't be there on the 30th to give you the money, that we can send you a check in advance. Does that work for you?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, we have 3 open plots, B1, B4, and C6. And there's one person, well, yeah, one person I still haven't heard from. Well, she hasn't actually confirmed. She got back to me, and I think she's going to renew her plot, but we'll just keep it, we won't open it up just yet. And we also talked about making B1 and B4 a little more, since it's closer to the parking lot, we talked about reserving that for anyone who has special needs. Now, Stephen and everybody, I'm wondering, since no one has come forth as stating they need something closer, I'm wondering if we should open those up again. So I think we need to talk about that. And also, I am going to send out a bunch of notes from this meeting, just the important points. And I'm going to attach a map that has the plot numbers with the names of the people who are currently assigned to those plots. And I also have a contact list. It's a little different format. It's like a table with plot numbers and names and email addresses. So we will have each other's email addresses, and you'll be able to see who's next to you. So that could be handy too. And we also, a lot is posted on the drive, on the Google Drive, but I'm a little confused about who has access to the drive and the, you know, it's like if you go to the Easthampton Garden at gmail.com, you can send emails there, and you can also get access to that, to the drive and the contact list and everything by using the password and signing in with the password. And I have been making that password accessible to anyone who asks. And I hope I'm doing the right thing by doing that. I think so. So if you want access to the drive and all that information, you can either email me and let me know, or I'm wondering, should I just put that in the email? So I'd like feedback from other committee members about that. And I really don't have much more to say because pretty much we don't have a waiting list right now, and we do have open plots. So just about the password and B1 and B4 special needs, what we need to kind of figure those out.
Yeah. Well, as in regard to that, Margie, you know, the city did make a did communicate with us about the accessibility issue. So I would say at this point, let's try to complete that communication with them a little bit.
Okay.
Before we give it away. We still do have one more plot, right? Yeah. So why don't we just kind of do that for the time being? And I'll try to follow up a little bit. Also, Karen, I now you.
Yeah.
I had let you in 4 different times to this meeting.
I'm having problems with my computer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we had introduced ourselves earlier. If you want to introduce yourself and also tell folks what plot you're in, and then we'll get to your report in just a bit.
Okay. I think I'm in C2, and I've been at the garden for 2 summers, and I work on the Pollinator Garden. And do you want to hear that now?
No, we're going to get to that very shortly.
Okay. Okay.
So we will get to that. I just wanted to make sure people knew that you were there.
Yeah.
So Margie, thank you for the outreach report. Oh, you were looking for feedback about whether to keep access open to all gardeners.
Yeah.
Do people have opinions about that?
It might be easier to just make the Google Drive accessible to anyone with the link and send that link to everybody. So that way you don't have to log in and do stuff like that. You can just go to the link.
That makes sense.
I don't know how to do that. Eric, you can access the contact list. Was that Eric who said that?
Yeah, I haven't accessed the contact list. I'll look for it right now, see if I can get into it.
Well, I'm going to send one anyway. I'm going to send a list. But if you go to the contact list on the drive, you can just, you know, select all and then send a community email.
I see one from 2020. Is this one updated?
Oh, it's been updated. It says 2022 garden email list.
Okay, I'll look for the 2022.
Well, we've posed the question. I do think we need to get to resolution. I can double check with the city about whether there's a policy about that.
Okay.
You know.
Thank you.
So I think that makes sense. So Margie does the internal outreach, our external outreach, and as I mentioned earlier, we do have a Facebook page. Has been handled by Eric the last couple of summers. Eric, thank you for doing that. And do you want to describe a little bit about our external outreach?
Yeah, mostly rounding people up, letting them know when meetings are happening. If I happen to see anything fun, I'll repost it. Somebody did mention that we should reach out to other Easthampton groups. I was going to wait to see what the openings were still like after this meeting. If you'll want, I can post out to some of the other Easthampton groups and let them know that we have openings, or at least invite them to come by and say hi. I mean, yeah. It'll feel good. Let the locals know that we're here, even if they can't get in.
And actually, Eric, I should point out to folks, and we were just talking about what's available at the moment, but we also have a necessity to build a waiting list because, you know, things happen in the course of the summer. So, you know, people come and people go, and it's good to have a list that we can draw on. So even if we are at or near capacity at the moment, we really do want to invite people to get on that list, which is really, should be a good entree to getting a garden plot. So I think that I would strongly recommend that we try to do that.
Margie, in the folder in the Google Drive for the 2022, could you share that with me? I have access to the stuff from 2021, but I don't have access to 2022.
Oh,
and I don't have access to the...
It's not actually on the drive. If you click on the E,
okay,
and you go to contacts, you see where it's, you click on the box of dots. The dot, that little box, and then you see there's a drive, and then there's contacts. Click on the contacts, and that'll take you to all the contact lists.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I probably have to log in as the garden. I'll have to remember. I think that you gave me the password for that once. I'll have to check for it. Otherwise, I can't
email it to you.
Okay. Okay, we'll work this out. Thank you.
Hey, Stephen, could you stop sharing the screen so we can?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
See everybody's faces again.
Do?
I only get little bits.
Okay, hold on. I have to figure out how to spell pollinator. There we go. How do you like that? Without spell check, incidentally. All right. I'll stop sharing. I wanted to be transparent, Frank. I want people to see where we were in the moment. And so in the moment, we are at this is where Mark comes in. We're at the donation garden report. Mark, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Sure. Yeah, we've had for those of you who are new, we've had a donation garden for probably as long as there's been community garden. I've only been here 4 years now. But the idea behind the donation garden is to raise some produce that can be shared with other folks in the community who may have food scarcity issues. More specifically, we take this food to the Easthampton Community Center, Stephen or myself, usually on a Monday morning. And so any produce that we harvest from the donation garden will ultimately end up there. Last year, we had kind of a tough year. We did get some production, but it was not as good as previous years, probably because of the weather was so inconsistent. And many of us, including myself, suffered as a result of that. But
it was consistent. It was consistent, Mark. It just rained.
Well, it did. And I didn't know if some of you had better luck than I did, but
oh my gosh. It was so melted.
But I had to replant second crops of this, that, and the other thing, because the first one didn't make it. We got, what was it? First, it was heat first and then rain instead of the opposite way, which it usually would be. And it just killed a lot of stuff. But anyway, the donation garden is a great venture. Historically, it's been more recently a little difficult to get volunteers. So I'm very much would like to have a crew of volunteers this year. I think that on the list it says up to 4. And all that means is that you would, come around, spend a little bit of time each week, just swing by for a short time, pick a few weeds or something, or something like that. It doesn't even happen that regularly, but it does need some tending. Also, as part of that whole venture, we do ask gardeners if they are able, if they have any extra produce in their own gardens. Sometimes, you get flooded with, whatever you're growing, zucchini, let's say, and you just can't use it all. So if you can donate that as well. And the way we do that is Stephen has a cooler over by the shed where you can put this extra produce that you might have prior to our Monday morning delivery to the community center. And that's another way we can serve local folks and share our abundance. So that's I think the gist of the donation garden. My thought is, if the time ever came where we had a little bit more space besides the one plot, that would be lovely. But for now, we do have the one plot. I also am really looking for some input on what kind of things we should grow there. I kind of took my own liberties last year, and some of it worked out and some of it not so much, but I'd like to hear what people think would be good to put in the donation garden. So that's probably good for now, Stephen, unless you got a question.
That's good. Yeah. Well, allow me to chime in a little bit because I think that we need to do this at this point. If we're going to be serious about giving back to the community, since the community has given to us the opportunity to have a beautiful area to garden, we need folks tonight to volunteer. There's planning to be done. There's harvesting. There is also trying to facilitate donations by other people on their gardens. So there really is work, and we can't leave if we're going to do this, and we should. It can't be left with just Mark right now and myself helping with the deliveries. Is there anyone who's interested in helping pull that together? Yes, Caitlin. Do you have a question? Or are you volunteering, or both?
Both. No, I was just waving excitedly.
Help with the donation garden.
Okay, the Harrisons.
It's going to require a little weeding at first. I was up there today. I just walked around, I was looking at stuff. So
I'm willing to help also. This is Olivia.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Olivia.
So can we generate a list somehow, Stephen? How does this?
I'm marking this down.
You're marking it down. Great. So
Yeah,
you give some contact information, and we can.
Other farmers.
So I'm marking this down, and I've noted with Olivia that, of course, once she does all her thistle weeding, she's going to participate in the.
Oh my God!
It's not. I figured you would half freak out while listening to Frank. It's doing it now makes a huge difference. So
it's not, Olivia. That plot's not that bad. The people who were there before.
It really isn't. We looked at it. It's not. It's all doable.
I admit I'm totally panicked about.
No, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be panicked. Karen, your plot is. We're gonna have to help you.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, no man. We have to get on it pretty soon. Actually,
we can pitch in.
Olivia, it's really easy.
The time to do it.
Olivia, you can email me, and if whenever you're up there, I'll go up there. I can show you what the stuff looks like.
Okay, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, actually in D1, the one right next to you, we cleaned all that out. And the only thing pretty much growing there right now is some new thistles coming up. We just weren't able to get the whole plot covered. because that was like the mothership. So what we want to do is try and finish covering that whole thing with cardboard, and then put down, I think we put down about 8 or 10 inches of wood chips. Like you have to suffocate the stuff. It's just, I can't even tell you. It's like, there was an old Creep Show movie with Stephen King in it. I don't know if you all, and this meteor hits the earth and this green stuff starts growing everywhere. It's kind of like that. It starts growing on him too, unfortunately.
Frank, this is not making me feel any better.
Yeah, but you
Frank,
have
stop
help.
it. Frank, you were just freaking her out.
No, you just have
I'm
to
gonna go back and
like I
color
told
that.
everybody though, when you put down chips, you want to put down some other layer under it, like something to take away the oxygen and the air and everything. I've used newspaper because everything's soy based in it anyway, the ink. But with the thistle, if you can get cardboard, and then I mean like a thick layer of wood chips, and that'll pretty much, like if you do your quarters like that, the rest of it's easy to control.
Yeah, that's all be good. Okay, so well, all right. So we got some folks. Let's have it, because as Mark alluded to, last year's production was terrible, and the other part of which was not good either were people's contributions. Okay, and we put out 2 chests. It would be nice for each Monday when I come by to see that those chests are full of nice fresh produce to bring to the community center. There's no reason why it can't be. So, you know, particularly if you can't, you know, we talked about it with Sarah about if you know that you might be away and some stuff is coming in, just tell us, you know, I'm in B5, I'm not going to be around for the first 2 weeks of July, whatever. Feel free to grab the X, Y, and Z, and we can harvest it if you're not there to do it. But for those folks who are there, if we're going to be serious, you know, you need to harvest it and put it in the chest. It would be nice to have a really good summer and get to levels that we've been at before, because we weren't there last year.
I just wanted to say, I want to do one of the other committees, but I'm planting potatoes on Sunday here in my life, and I have too many. So Mark, do you want me to go ahead and plant some potatoes in the community garden on Sunday? I could be happy to do that.
Is that potato seeds, Sarah? Like you could just, is it like potatoes that you chop up and then put them in the ground?
Yeah. So I just chopped them up today. So by Sunday or Monday, they'll be like planting ready.
Okay. Hard. It sounds great. It's just hard to say where we want to put them and what do they do well with. Do they need to be in a raised bed, or do they just grow in an open field, or what do you think?
We could talk about it
year?
separately out of the meeting too.
Yeah,
but
sure. Let's do that.
I'll email you about it.
Thank you so much. That's great, Sarah. Yeah. That'd be fantastic to have.
I panicked with how many potatoes I ordered today. So.
Wow.
The great potato panic.
Hey, one other
potato
thing.
Pancakes.
One other thing too is Laura Fisher, whose grandfather actually donated this land. She and her partner have a farm now over in Lovefield, called Lovefield Farm. But in last summer especially, she donated a lot of plants. She would just drop off flats of seedlings. So when that happens, we'll do our best, if we find out, to let everybody know. And I probably what we'll do is put them under the picnic table to keep them out of the sun, because everything dries out pretty quickly up there.
Yes, she did. And she also donated, I mean, I did a lot of the picking at her. She had some abundance of peas. She had an abundance of peppers. So I did bring those to the community garden. So she did a lot of donation last year. And by the way, we should mention and plug Easthampton Feed is a great place to get your supplies and your flats and all those kind of things. Mention the garden, you get a discount.
Yeah, 10% discount. If you don't know where the feed store is, it's if you go down the road where the 7-Eleven is, if you turn heading towards I guess, the pond. The road forks and the feed stores to the left. You can look it up, Easthampton Feed. But if you tell them you have a community garden plot, they'll give you 10% off whatever you buy.
Isn't it Mechanic Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah.
It's right next to Ed's Auto.
They're along the bike path there.
Yeah, fantastic place, fantastic people.
Awesome people, very cool people. They carry a very good library too. I bought a couple of really cool books there.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm just recovering from an accident because everybody should break their arm before gardening season.
Hey.
I think I've hit the wall for the amount of time that I can sit up before I have to go ice and elevate again. Is there anything major that I need to know besides checking my email?
We are almost at the end. Karen was going to report briefly on the Pollinator Garden, and that really actually brings us pretty much to the end, but I appreciate this, these meetings can be.
Thank you for persisting.
Yes.
And I hope you recover well.
Yeah, me too. Don't keep chicken brooders in your kitchen.
Karen, do you want to talk a little bit about the Pollinator Garden?
Yes, I'm very enthusiastic this year since the leak in the pump house was fixed. Last year it got really boggy there, which kind of killed stuff that was there, but perennials were put in on the backside, and I've seen some perennials come up. It's still a bit early. I'm hopeful to see more of them pop up. Last year, somebody gave me some canna lily roots, which I grew someplace else, and I generated a whole bunch of roots from that. So those will go in. They're very dramatic and they're nice for the pollinators. We have some plants in the garden. There's some Shasta lilies near me that are really overgrown. And as soon as I see that listing who has that plot, I'll be asking her if I can thin that out a bit for her. And the Shasta lilies will be, Shasta daisies, sorry, will be a good addition along one of the edges. And then we put some annuals in, and hopefully this year, last year the Cosmos and some of the other ones that could tolerate wet feet did okay. This year I'm hoping they'll do better. And they grow very easily from seed. So we're just waiting for things to get moving along, get a little warmer out to start putting things in.
Karen, would you like some folks to help out this year?
That would be great if someone could help out. I put cardboard with wood chips on it there to keep the weeds down, and that would be a help. If we could, for some reason this winter, last summer, I was finding a lot of cardboard and collecting it. This year, this winter, I haven't run across as much. So if you get some clean cardboard, that'd be great. It needs replenishing. When you put cardboard down with the wood chips on it, the cardboard dissolves within about 4 to 6 weeks. So it's something that we need to keep doing. And that would be a great help to be continuing putting the cardboard in the other spaces. And then when we want to plant, we just dig through that, cut through that, and put the stuff in, and that keeps the weeds down very well.
I'd be game. I've still got some cardboard from my move.
Oh, great. Save it. Yeah.
Hi, this is Christine. Sorry, I can't see anyone. It's Christine. My favorite place to get cardboard is from the community center because they have banana boxes, which are really thick and they don't have any tape on them. So if anybody needs boxes, that's the place to go.
What community center is that?
Easthampton.
Oh, okay.
And they have they because that's how they get all their produce and canned goods in.
Yes.
And, usually they just have them, like by the recycling area, and people take them because they're great moving boxes and they're great for mulching, and they're the best. I'd say take the banana boxes first and then move on to the other things. But they're free, and they're glad that you take them and put them to use.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else besides David? Were you offering to assist for the polling? Yes, great. Anyone else want to join David and Karen?
Amy and I can.
Okay, great. Oh,
yeah, and we can also pick up cardboard because we live right next to the Easthampton Community Center, so we'd be happy to bring some over.
Okay.
Wonderful, thank you.
So the thing I found is when you bring it out, when I bring it out, I put it down and right away I pour a wheelbarrow of wood chips over it. Last year I had some wonderful, great big sheets of cardboard that covered a lot of area, and I put some stuff on there, some rocks on there and some other stuff. And then we had a very strong windstorm and it took at least one of my big sheets away. So they have to be covered with the wood chips or something right away, even if you use them in your own plots. Because if we have a storm, then they go flying, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've found it way down in the orchard across the street before. So if those of you haven't gardened up there yet, the wind can be pretty crazy up there. So yeah, if you're going to use cardboard, definitely weigh it down. And stones don't really work. They don't work well. Like Karen was saying, I would definitely use a good thick pile. I would use a lot of wood chips, and it's not a bad idea to soak it if you can water it. I know it sounds weird to water your cardboard, but if you really soak it well, it'll actually seal in a way to the ground. Whenever I use newspaper, I always wet it before I put the chips over it.
The Pollinator Garden is located right next to the donation garden in row A. So thank you, Karen, for that work and your report. That is the last report, actually. Is there any question that anyone have, something that we haven't covered that people want to know? Right now, we're scheduled to kind of look to April 30th as kind of a way to kind of get out there, get stuff, hoses out.
Stephen, can you send me a little job description of what you do?
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
Very happy to do that. And Mark, you'll get Margie, the address that people can send payment to if they're not able to be there on the 30th.
Sure thing.
Okay, great. Okay, I think we're in really good shape, and I appreciate everyone coming and participating, hanging in for an hour and a half. We're doing that. So unless there's any other question or anything that people want to say, we're at the point where we can adjourn. Is there anyone who want to? Otherwise, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
A motion we adjourn.
Second.
I want to say thank you and welcome to all the new people, of course, as well as our returning people. But thank you, everybody, and thanks for coming, for joining the meeting.
Okay. Well, thank you. So at 8:35, we stand adjourned. We're back at our next meeting again, which is the first Thursday of next month, which is on the 5th. What day is that? I should know it.
I think it's the 5th.
5th.
It's the 5th of May. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, y'all. Everybody be well.
And thank you, Ted. I'm going to be in contact with you very shortly.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.